And the family told the San Francisco Chronicle that the mom who survived the shooting but lost her husband took her own life earlier this year.
But we're going to be talking about the former big leaguer pitcher Dan Serafini. He's on trial right now. His story is popping up all over town. It's all on TV. It's all on TikTok and on the true crime blogs. It's all over the place. Reporters say jury selection began on May the 13th, 2025, and opening statements will start the week of May the 20th. Because the court action is live and fresh details keep getting leaked, the hashtags Dan Serafini and hashtag Lake Tahoe murder have been trending like every day this week. Dan married Erin Spoor about 10 years ago. Erin's parents, Robert Gary Spoor and Wendy Wood, owned a big lake house near Tahoe and had lots of money, including what court papers call a $10 million family trust. The couple often helped Dan and Erin. They paid some of the young family's bills and gave them checks and even bought Dan a $55,000 vehicle. On the night of June the 5th, 2021, a masked person slipped into the Tahoe house, waited, and then shot both parents in the head. Gary died right away, and Wendy survived, but was badly hurt and later died by suicide in 2023. Security cameras caught the intruder coming and going, but the person's face was covered. Police have few clues as to what was going on. After about 2 years, a 2-year hunt, deputies arrested Dan and a family friend named Samantha Scott on October the 20th of 2023. So Samantha had worked as the family nanny. Okay, she worked for Dan and Erin, and she took care of both of their boys. Phone data showed that the day before the shooting, the surveillance video put both of the cars near the crime scene. Okay, early this year, Samantha pled guilty to being an accessory and agreed to testify. Court documents also say that she and Dan were having a secret romantic relationship, and the pair had been seen drinking together at a Nevada hotel the night before the parents were shot. Why prosecutors think Dan might kill his in-laws? Dan earned millions of dollars. He was a baseball player, professional baseball player, but he later lost money on a bad investment, and he struggled with a sports bar that he invested in. He had large debts, and sometimes he relied on his in-laws for cash. Police say he once told a friend he would pay $20,000 to have both of them killed. Okay, and then another reason why he would probably be interested in killing his in-laws is because the in-laws had a $10 million trust. So if both of the parents are dead, then guess what? Part of the money is going to go to one sister, and the other part of the money is going to go to the other sister, Erin, who he is married to. So he benefited if both of the parents were dead. A little issue that they were having amongst themselves, the in-laws and Dan. Dan accused the in-laws of not feeding his children. Okay, and so they had a big blowout. They said Dan lost his temper, and he was upset because he thought his in-laws weren't feeding his children. Okay,
a year before the shootings, arguing over expensive and hard to get formula from Europe for her son during COVID. Serafini's lawyer asked, "Were you so mad you went to see your parents die over that?" "No, of course not," she answered.
So now we have two sisters. We have Adrienne and we have Erin. Adrienne filed a lawsuit in 2023 saying that her sister Erin helped plan the attack. She claims Erin lured their parents out of the house that day so the gunman can sneak inside, and later took Samantha to visit Wendy in the hospital to make sure Wendy could not point a finger at Dan. Adrienne said also Erin and Dan depended on her parents' money and wanted a large slice of the trust. Erin denies all of this, and police have not yet charged her with any crime. The two sisters are still fighting in court, but the civil case is paused until Dan's criminal trial is over. Let's talk about the relationship of Dan and Samantha. What was that like? Samantha first met the family in 2017 through a horseback riding lesson and soon became the boy's nanny. Prosecutors say phone pings, hotel records, and Samantha's own words show that she was very close to Dan. She drove him hundreds of miles on June the 4th, checked into a hotel with him, and later admitted that she dropped him near the Tahoe house on the day of the shooting. She says that she was taking a trip to get cocaine, but investigators call that story a cover-up. Text messages between the pair, and it was further evidence that Samantha will tell the jury about the affair as part of her plea deal. What happens next in court? Jury selection is going to finish up, and lawyers will give their speeches next week. The trial should last until July. Prosecutors plan to show the security video, the phone data, and Samantha's testimony. Dan's lawyers say that the masked person on the camera is not Dan, and that Samantha is blaming him to save herself. If the jury finds Dan guilty of first-degree murder and attempted murder, he will spend the rest of his life in prison until a verdict is reached. Dan is presumed innocent. However, Dan's own brother saw the surveillance video, and Dan's brother is saying that looks like his brother walking up to the home.
Yeah, and just moments ago here at the historic courthouse here in Auburn, we saw the familiar white vans that typically transport those in custody here to the courthouse. It will be inside Department 4 upstairs that this high-profile case set to move to jury selection. And again, at the center of that is a man named Dan Serafini, a former Major League Baseball player who played for multiple teams, including the Cubs, Pirates, and even Padres before being caught up in that steroid scandal in 2007. But prosecutors also say he's the man who snuck into his father-in-law's Homewood home, hid inside, and then ambushed, shot, and killed his father-in-law, Gary Spoor, and shot and attempted to kill his mother-in-law, Wendy Wood. Serafini was also known for appearing on a reality TV show titled Bar Rescue. Spoor's daughter, the one who wasn't married to Serafini, called this a, quote, heinous and calculated crime. Meanwhile, an accomplice to this murder has already pled guilty to being an accessory to a felony in connection with the deadly ambush for playing a role in giving Serafini a ride to Homewood. Now, as we come back out here live, this case resumes with jury selection after 8:30 this morning. Opening statements, those are set to begin next week.
A former Major League Baseball player is under arrest, accused of shooting and killing his father-in-law. It all happened at the family house in Homewood on the west shore of Lake Tahoe. Tonight, our Becca Habegger shows us what happened and how this is bringing much-needed answers to a years-long plea for help.
On the night of June 5th, 2021, 70-year-old Robert Gary Spoor and his wife, 68-year-old Wendy Wood, were found shot in the head in their Homewood house on the west shore of Lake Tahoe. Spoor died. Wood survived with severe injuries.
It's a huge loss. My brother was real close, the two of us best friends.
Soon after the shooting, the Placer County Sheriff's Office released surveillance video from that day showing someone with their face covered approaching the couple's home. The couple was shot several hours later. The Sheriff's Office now says they have identified that person as the couple's son-in-law and former Major League Baseball pitcher Nanny Serafini. This 49-year-old accused of murder and attempted murder made his Major League debut with the Minnesota Twins in 1996. Nanny Serafini's career included a brief stint with a minor league affiliate of the San Francisco Giants. In 2011, he married Erin Spoor, the couple's eldest daughter. Serafini was arrested in Winnemucca, Nevada Friday morning, along with a second person, a 33-year-old woman named Samantha Scott, who was arrested in Las Vegas. The Placer County Sheriff's Office says both she and Serafini knew each other and the victims, though the Sheriff's Office wouldn't elaborate beyond that. Both will be extradited to Placer County on one charge of murder and another of attempted murder. The sheriff's office that arrested Serafini in Nevada says he is also facing a charge related to child endangerment.
Dan Serafino opened up the Bullpen Bar.
We know Serafini owned a bar in Sparks, Nevada in the mid-2010s, which was the subject of an episode of Bar Rescue.
Dan convinced his parents to take out a $240,000 loan against their house to buy a bar.
It says he also lost a $14 million fortune in bad investments and a divorce settlement. It appears the bar has since closed and Serafini has largely been out of the public eye.
And the family told the San Francisco Chronicle that the mom who survived the shooting but lost her husband took her own life earlier this year. They say that they hold the shooter responsible for her death, too.
Erin Spohr, wife of Dan Serafini, faced her husband in a Placer County courtroom Tuesday. Although the judge wouldn't allow media to take photos or videos inside day 2 of the preliminary hearing, we watched her and her legal team go in and out of the courthouse. Prosecutors believe her husband and father of their 2 children shot and killed her father, Robert Spohr, and shot and majorly injured her mother, Wendy Wood. Samantha Scott, a friend of Dan Serafini, is also charged alongside him. Erin Spohr's attorney says he is concerned at one point Spohr was a suspect in the shooting of her parents. She has not been charged, and he says she's a victim in this. When asked questions by prosecution, she was instructed by her attorney to not answer many of them, citing spousal privilege, not to testify against her husband, not to testify on their communications with each other, and her Fifth Amendment right. A focus of Tuesday's hearing was also this surveillance video near the Spohr's Lake Tahoe home, shared on the Placer County Sheriff's Office Facebook page in June 2021, when they asked for the public's help figuring out who the person in the video is. Prosecutors believe that is Serafini in the video. We heard testimony from a Placer County deputy who said he talked to multiple people who knew Serafini personally and believed it was him in the video. The detective said Dan Serafini's own brother said the man in the video had a, quote, arrogant swagger, possibly like his brother. The detective claims Serafini's brother also heard a conversation where his brother offered someone money to kill his in-laws. We also heard testimony and saw the cross-examination of the criminalist who analyzed the bullets found in both victims of the shooting. We also learned that the court has obtained the phone records of both Dan Serafini and Samantha Scott. Reporting in Placer.
Dan Serafini's wife is back on the stand in the preliminary hearing of her husband and father of 2 young children. Our cameras are not allowed inside the courtroom to record the testimony. During the prosecution's questioning, Erin Spohr told the judge, "I would never think she or my husband would have anything to do with this." Spohr is referring to Samantha Scott, also accused in the crimes. She says they met in 2017 when Scott hired Spohr to give her horseback riding lessons. And the relationship grew, where all 3 would take vacations together. The victim's eldest daughter testified about a, quote, complex relationship with her parents, Gary Spohr and Wendy Wood, in the year before the shootings, arguing over expensive and hard-to-get formula from Europe for her son during COVID. Serafini's lawyer asked, "Were you so mad you went to see your parents die over that?" "No, of course not," she answered. She also says Serafini signed a post-nuptial agreement to not receive any of her parents' inheritance after they passed. The lawyer asked, "You knew of no financial motive he had to see your parents killed?" "Not at all," she answered. "He was able to watch his children reap the benefits of their generosity, correct?" "Extremely," Spohr said. Spohr says her parents gave her $1 million for their Reno home, paid for vacations, schools, daycare, baby supplies, Serafini's golf membership, and even bought him a $55,000 car. She also testified that when detectives showed her the security video of a man jogging onto her parents' Tahoe property before the shootings, she said she told the detectives, "That is not my husband." Spohr also testified about the final hours she spent with her parents, her dad taking them out on the boat. He made them dinner, and she says she was unaware of anyone else being in the home that day. She also says her mother handed her a $90,000 check when they said goodbye.
investigators say someone shot Robert Gary Spoor and his wife Wendy Wood, killing Spoor. Wood survived a gunshot wound to the head and relearned how to walk, talk, and eat, but never regained her memory of who the shooter was that night. Earlier this year, Wood committed suicide, her family says. Since then, the couple's 2 daughters have filed lawsuits against each other. On the 2-year anniversary of the 2021 crime, Adrienne Spoor filed a wrongful death lawsuit on behalf of her and her parents' estate, claiming her sister Erin Spoor and her husband Dan Serafini were behind the plot to kill. On Friday, Serafini was arrested.
He was arrested in Winnemucca where he worked. He worked the mines over in Winnemucca, and that's where he was. He'd go over there a few days, every couple, 3 weeks, and work over there.
Mark Nash lives nearby the couple's home in Reno.
Completely shocked. I mean, because I saw him every other day, talked to him before. I just texted him that week about telling him how nice his front yard looked because he decorated it for Halloween. He gave his wife all the credit for it.
Serafini is a former Major League Baseball pitcher and was also featured in 2015 on an episode of the TV show Bar Rescue, which portrayed him as a bar owner in serious financial trouble. The place is under new ownership now. Along with Serafini, family friend Samantha Scott was also arrested for the murder, shocking neighbors at her Reno apartment complex.
That's crazy. I was pretty surprised.
As many questions linger about Gary Spoor's murder, daughter Erin Spoor is also calling into question the role her sister Adrienne played leading up to their mother's death. In an August lawsuit, she accuses Adrienne of elder abuse, saying she manipulated Wendy Wood when she was vulnerable. Adrienne isolated Wendy to facilitate her plan to exploit Wendy to divert all family assets for her own selfish benefit, the suit says, using undue influence to cut Erin out of the picture and take control of the parents' estates valued at more than $10 million. Neither of the sisters agreed to an interview.
They hate you. You're gonna die. I don't want to do this.